Welcome to the Bourbon Experience. My name is Austin. This is the last episode of my Old Forester themed Bourbon Heritage Month. Welcome back to the final episode of my Old Forester themed Bourbon Heritage Month. If you'd seen anything before, I've done Woodford Double Oaked versus the 117 1910 Extra Old. Then I did the last 5 years of Old Forester Birthday Bourbon Blind. Then I did the High Angel Share 117 series, batches 1, 2, and 3. Then I did batches 1, 2, and 3 of the 150th anniversary batches. Then we did a couple crazy President's Choices. And here we are to the finale of this project. If you've been watching this, there was no other option to do than King of Kentucky. I've got 2 different years of King of Kentucky. Well, I have 3. I've got 2 bottles. I have a full bottle. RJ, who I mentioned in one of the previous things, and then you'll see him pretty soon, was super generous to let me borrow a little bit of a bottle that he got from somebody, and then the bottle that he was able to get. And then I'm throwing in a sample of a bottle. So I've got barrels from 2021, 2022, and 2023. Before I get into this, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I do a lot of giveaways. I say that a lot, but it's true, I do. And being subscribed is one of the requisites to do that, so please do that. Now with that, let me get into... I don't even know what to say. King of Kentuckys are absolutely ridiculous, so I'm gonna pour these. And I've had 2 other King of Kentuckys. I have tried one of the bottles from RJ, but I've had 2 other King of Kentuckys from 2021, I believe. Both of them were. The first one I had was easily a top 10 all-time favorite. The second one also was. But the first one specifically, it was just cola syrup before you added the carbonated water and oak and maybe some chocolate. I mean, it was very dark, very rich, right up my alley. Ridiculous. I even blinded that against one of my favorite pirate bottles and against a sample of Michter's 20, and that easily ran away with it. Then I've had another 21, and it was stupid good, ridiculous. However, it was not as good as that last sample I had. And then the bottle, this particular bottle from RJ, was equally top 10, ridiculous good. But I noticed there were some kind of stark differences between them. And It's Bourbon Night, when they talk about King of Kentucky, the first one they had, they didn't like, but then every other one they had, they were really amazed by. So aside from just being pure gluttony and wanting to drink 3 different King of Kentuckys, I want to know how much do they vary from barrel to barrel and from year to year, or if they are pretty consistent. I know they're consistently great, but do they follow a same profile? Well, this one's almost done. So this little guy is a sample. This is from the 2022 lot of barrels. Full transparency, I bought it on secondary. One of the groups, they make little replica things. So this came with a little miniature replica tube and bottle and label. And then the other 2 are actual releases, obviously. RJ, just like the President's Choice, is standing off camera, and I gave that one a little bit of a hefty pour, so sorry, RJ. He's giving me the thumbs up. It's okay. So I'm just going to go in order by year. So I'm going to start with the 2021, and this is bottle 21 out of 122. So 122 bottles came out of this, 62.65% ABV. So let's get into the 21s. I've seen reviews and I've heard people talk about specific years, and they're all single barrels, but I've heard in particular the 19s and 21s were some of the best King of Kentucky releases out there. I mean, the color on this It's very dark, but I mean, it is very dark in color, but I would almost expect it to be a little bit darker. I don't think that's going to matter whatsoever, but just for reference, it's not, I don't know. I think it depends on the light you look at it, because now I'm looking at it and it is really dark. Barreled on 12/18 of 2006, and it's the 21 release, so it's about 15 years old, or 15 and some change. And I think most of them kind of hover between the 15, 16 year age statements. There are some one-offs where I think it was like a 22 year or an 18 year. There's some one-offs where they are older. But let me get in this. Yep, we're starting strong here. Dark coffee. There is that cola note. There's a dusty note. When we talk about like with the pirate bottles, there's like a dusty note that you get in that pirate bottle of kind of funky oak thing. And that has that too. So chocolate, coffee, funky oak, cola, and there's a slight nuttiness, almost like very, very slight. I'm not talking beam nutty, I'm not talking wild turkey kind of walnut nutty, but a very slight. And it's not off-putting. It kind of adds another layer of all of this darkness that's in here. I mean, yeah. This episode, I mean, this is what I've been building to, so I'm gonna be enjoying this. Everything on the nose is there. There's a syrupy quality, and I think that's the cola note that pops up on the late finish, because these finishes go forever. So it almost hits a drying wood chocolate note, and then after that, there's a residual cola syrupness on the finish. Front of the palate, there's immediate dark sweetness. There is like barrel spice and funky oak that goes from front of the palate, mid palate, and then kind of falls off, and then it's barrel spice, and then it's that syrup that comes through. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and like that dusty funk being in there too is wild. I mean, there's a reason these are a top 10 pour of all time for me, and we're starting strong with this 21. The surprising note is that dusty oak funk in a very good way. That's the real standout thing. All of these tend to just be really dark and concentrated flavors. That's what they're known for. People will compare some of the Coy Hills to this, and I can see why. The Coy Hills tend to be not as refined, and there is a little bit more of that Jack Daniels nut that comes with those, but okay, I just smelled the 22, and so this is 2022 Master Distiller Chris Morris, 131.7 proof, so 65.85. This is a special nose. Not that the other one wasn't, but comparing the two, I'm looking for a year statement on here. This is 15 years. So yeah, I think most of them are going to be 15 unless they're specifically stated at an older age. The nose here, the main difference, the marked difference is there's more of a fruit note, because I don't really get fruit on these typically. But there is a little bit more of a dark cherry Luxardo cherry fruit note, and a little bit of this nice floralness that is pretty absent from all the other ones, because it's just so dark and concentrated. And there's a little bit of this lightness that sits on top of all of these super concentrated dark flavors. That to me elevates this, because it just makes it a little bit less one-dimensional, more complex just on the nose. That's really special. Right before I took a sip, I did get a little bit of that not peanut, but like that nutty note too. That's actually on the palate. Chocolate, coffee, ultra concentrated cola syrup, barrel funk, a little bit of nut. And they're gonna, so I do suspect they will have a lot of the same notes and qualities. This is more robust. It's a little bit more rich than the last year. It's a little bit more full. But the big thing is the complexity in this one compared to the year before. This one's gonna be hard to beat. Yeah, that funky oak thing is there too. That's lights out good. That's ridiculous. I don't know what else to say. Everything I said on, I think I covered most of what I'm getting here, but it's just so concentrated. And that's what I love about the Pirate bottles, is they are so concentrated. This is a darker version of a Pirate bottle that has these coffee, sweet oak, rich oak, cola syrup. I always reserve bourbon concentrate for the Pirate bottles. This truly matches that and probably exceeds it, if I'm being completely honest. Now, a little fun side note, do I think if you can get a good batch of Pirate bottles at $450, is it worth the $1,500 to $1,600 secondary difference between them? I don't think it is. I think they're a lot closer than what their prices allude to. So just food for thought on that. From my angle, this last pour from 23 looks darker. And this is the one that I did have before. So yeah, I'd say it is darker. This one is 16 years. So it is a year older than the first two, the 20 and 21 barrels that I have. 65.53, 131.1. Barreled in 2007. Warehouse G. The 22 is Warehouse H. 21 is also Warehouse H. I think a lot of them come from Warehouse H and Warehouse I, probably. For all the warehouse nerds out there that want to know, there it is. I don't really track warehouses too much. People do that with Wild Turkey pretty frequently. But anywho, I'd say that last one was the closest to Coy Hill Small Batch. I had a sample of Coy Hill Small Batch, and the closest comparison is the Coy Hill Small Batch that tends to be higher proof than regular Coy Hill, and those are like the two closest things. And a half bottle of the Coy Hill Small Batch is probably pretty close to what a King of Kentucky is. So the prices match up on that, I guess. But okay, into this one. This is the darkest of the three. It loses the floral fruit note from the 2022. We're back into just super dark, super rich, super concentrated. Coffee, chocolate, oak is and the cola is predominantly there. Wow. This is the most viscous. It's the least barrel spice. It's the least drying. It's the least, I don't know the word, but it is the most mouth-coating, viscous, syrupy mouthfeel of the three by far. And then there's a little bit of this nut on the finish. This is the most syrup and syrup only. None of these are one note. None of these are one dimensional. This one might I think my order probably goes to 22, the 23, the 21, only because the 22 has more going on. But this by far has the best mouthfeel. It is the most coating, buttery, syrupy thickness that just completely takes over. I mean, there's almost like this kind of peanut butter thing a little bit on the finish. It does have all those same notes of the coffee, the chocolate, the cola, but there's just a oily, buttery mouth coating thing that the 23 has that the others, they do not have that. Whoa. On the finish now, there's this funky oak that's in there too. It might be my favorite. So the only thing the 22 is lacking is that buttery mouthfeel, quality, syrupy. It is more complex. It drinks hotter, but has a lighter mouthfeel, if that makes sense. So the proof comes through more on a 22, and there's more notes and stuff. But if you want just completely dense, concentrated thickness, 23 is where it's at. So I could see myself on any given day choosing the 22 over the 23 or the 23 over the 22. I do believe the 21 is probably the clear. I don't know. So so I started this episode by saying there seems to be some variance between years and barrels, and there is, but they all have this same basic profile, and every single one of these could be a top 10 all-time favorite for me. I think the flavor of the 21 probably is the best flavor. I think the complexity of the 22s easily more complex, and there's more notes going on, and there's just more stuff going on with it. That makes it really nice. And then the mouthfeel of the 23 is easily the best mouthfeel of the three. So there are no losers. I'll just say that. There are no losers. I don't even want to venture to choose one. And this is almost like unicorn of unicorns type of thing. Obviously, there's some other stuff that mainly like Buffalo Trace out there that is like just brings it to another level. But you're about as unicorn level as you get here with King of Kentucky's. And I like certain aspects of each release more than any of the other ones. But what I've learned is there is a consistency and flavor profile and experience that you get out of it. But some barrels just have more complexity, and some of them have a better flavor slightly, and some of them have a better mouthfeel and texture than the others. So I don't know what to say. This is one of the coolest days for me to be able to drink these. I don't think you'll come across a disappointing one across the board. There are just certain things that shine more than others, than in certain ones than not the others, but those other ones probably bring a little bit more of some other aspect. So that's where I'm leaving this. All three easily a top 10. The profiles are ridiculous on this. Yeah, that's where I'm leaving it. And thank you if you've been with me through the rest of the Old Forester themed Bourbon Heritage Month. Thank you if you're following my Elijah Craig Barrel Proof ECBP tournament coming in October. I'll start doing more kind of not regular stuff, but I don't have massive projects that I'm dedicated to, so it'll just be kind of one-off stuff. So this is wrapping up the Old Forester portion, and thank you guys if you have followed me on this journey. It has been super fun to film. It's been a really fun thing to do. Even though I haven't featured anybody on this specific project, I've had RJ here for a couple times off camera. That's been really fun. I had Brian actually in the very first episode, and then Brian, if you watched my birthday bourbon, he set up that blind for me. So a good chunk of this, I've had the privilege of having some of my close friends here to experience these pours with me. Really, that's kind of what it's all about. So it's fun to be able to do a really big project and not be on your own, doing your own thing with it, and to be able to share that with that you care about and are friends with. So with that, I'm going to end the Old Forester themed Bourbon Heritage Month. As always, the bourbon experience is all about good pours and great times with whoever you're with. Whiskey meant to be enjoyed, so crack those bottles. Cheers.